Yeah. I one West. We taking over. Ha. Yo, Nayata.
Yo, Gucci.
Strap to the bone, chat to me chrome. Fire one in a them head, chat to the dome. Them boy they know but that when me know only bad when the man friend pop pill alone. Tall rifle a roll under me clothes. One with a run road that a fi be known. Brown in bad bitch not silicone. Rich badness fat belly phone. Them boy they not ready for the gun life. Give them a pitchfork and a grum knife. Press the chip clock on the front line. If the road dark he become bright. Me dog them a killer when a sunlight. We was a transform when it turn night. Chris Kalish cuff we black and white. With the red light on the front eye. Toppy show. Talk about things where you nothing know. Toppy show. Tell taking a me and that a no fi show. Rifle buying them big like puppy toe. A tall rifle a mad to be go before. Toppy show. In a skin them time you get lead poison in an infection. Make it rise quicker than inflation. And the eye living in dead from inception. That's what the thing then can start out slow, but the thing gets strong. Press the chip clock on the front line. Sunlight, we was a chance make the rain fall and the room dry.
Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. Shalom. Yahweh Shema Shabrakata to the brothers, Yahweh Shema Alatan Bashim Rasha to the sisters. Welcome to the conflict zone. This week now we're looking at a straight money conflict banks. There was a bank named that American opened for blacks in 18 something named Freedman Bank. Man, that's the first hit what people seem to get financially after slavery. And two things we want to touch on. That bank and Usain Bolt. and Usain Bolt money that was stolen. I come across an article, which telling you that Bolt money didn't even make it to the account, when they take it to the institution. You know, for that level of investment, there is a person-to-person contact that you have with the institution. So you know, just go to the teller and deposit in an account. You get a personal banker. Personal banker would produce fake receipts. So whatever bolt or him associate would go there to deposit. Make fake, generate fake receipt and give it to him. Money didn't make it to the account. But you find that this is a trend. Or then just do, you know, just be a face, do that to a black man. But they wouldn't do it to a white man. I mean, Bernie Madoff and others did do that kind of investment. But at least the money didn't make it to the institution. It's just that they find a way to the people. But even in the case of this one that we're going to start with, the Freedman Bank, man, you find that this bank, why? This was an institution which was run by whites. Yeah, some politician involved in it now. Maybe that's where it went wrong. Put no politician in them thing there, but 18 something them wouldn't have enough years of experience to know that. Like now you might know. Alright, this that I'm going to start with is the US Department of Treasury. So this record is from the US Department of Treasury. So it is a government site telling you about something that happened to our people. Preface. The Freedman Saving and Trust Company was a private corporation chartered by an act of the U.S. government signed in 1865 by President Abraham Lincoln. So in 1865, when you have a General Mahayaman tell you, yeah, they were good black people. White people. It's true. There were some whites who had an intention of being good towards blacks. But even them have always been psyched or general by the cruel whites. Welcome to our TikTok viewers, Welcome to the conflict zone. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you want. You need to. Yeah. All right. So the Freedman Saving Bank. It's a private corporation, but it was chartered by an act of U.S. government signed in 1865 by President Abraham Lincoln. It was created to help develop the newly freed African Americans as they endeavored to become financially stable. Originally, the bank was headquartered in New York, but later moved to Washington, D.C. Eventually, there were 37 locations across 17 states. So it opened 1865. This bank even collapsed before World War One. When I hear one later, you feel that this bank is surprised. After a year of research, commencing in 2015, the Cleveland Federal Reserve Bank created and launched a series of panels regarding the Freedman Bank in 2016. All right, so let me tell you now that in 2015, then started some research and thing for this bank. This was done largely to celebrate the sesquicentennial sentimental of the bank's charter year of 1865. Um, Come on, please. So, take a look on that for me, please. Take a look, man. After a year of research, right, this was done largely to celebrate that sesquicentennial mental of the bank. Not how much years? 1819 or 200 years. In the 1860s, there was a little opportunity for African Americans to amass enough wealth to bank. There is a connection today in that there is still a large population of people of color that are unbanked for various reasons. It was important for the Cleveland Federal Reserve Bank to showcase the success, albeit temporary, of the Freedman Bank and the amount of wealth freed slaves contributed to the economy. So that bank, even though the money came from the freed slaves, the amount of money that went through that institution. Treasury acknowledges the generosity of the CFRB, that's the Cleveland Federal Reserve Bank, in sharing the online exhibit regarding the Freedman Bank building. In addition, the department acknowledges John O'Brien, a visionary. Let me say, let's get to the matter. The end of slavery and the birth of the Freedman Bank. With the passage of the 13th Amendment and the end of the Civil War in 1865, slavery was finally abolished in the United States. Practice had existed. Practice had existed on the American continent for more than 200 years. Right? That is chattel slavery they're talking about, by the way. Almost overnight, nearly 4 million African American men, women, and children are free. With the South in ruins, they face disorder and danger. Most had no home, no money, no work. Their relatives were scattered all over the country. So this is telling you that when slavery was abolished, yeah, the freed slaves now was like it's like they were at sea. They were at a loss. They're at a disadvantage. Their relatives were scattered all over the place. They have no money. They're not home. They're not work. All right, and nearly impossible to find. To address the needs of the newly freed slaves, the U.S. government created the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, commonly known as the Freedmen's Bureau. Freedmen's Bureau. So them create that, no, that sign that into law now, that Bureau into law to help freed slaves. It provided food, housing, and medical aid to tens of thousands of freed slaves. It located relatives and reunited families, and it helped to establish schools all across the South for African Americans. Meanwhile, a group of missionaries, abolitionists, and businessmen saw that African Americans would need support and education to become financially secure. So, as a group of whites recognize that blacks need to be financially secure, the group worked to create a savings bank for former slaves. We can say, the oppressor smile at you and tell you that that smile is to help you. Don't believe him. And I read the paragraph again. A group of missionaries, that is people from the church, abolitionists, those abolitionists, they were politicians, and businessmen saw that African Americans would need support and education to become financially secure. The group worked to create a savings bank for former slaves, African American veterans, and their families. In 1865, they succeeded. The Freedman Savings and Trust Company, often called the Freedman Bank, opened for business. So this is a picture from them. These days they didn't really have camera, so sketch artist was, yeah, sketch artist was the man who get the pictures. All right, there's a YouTube. There's a reading. I'm gonna tell you some more reading. Or should I just play this YouTube video? This video is about 4 minutes. That tell you about the Freedman Saving and Trust Company. Tell you about the Freedman Bank.
Idea for its time. The creation of
Let me make sure that it is being broadcasted. Mhm.
the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company, or the Freedmen's Bank as it became known, was a bold, even radical idea for its time. With the end of the Civil War in sight, a group of white Northern abolitionists, philanthropists, and business leaders met in New York in January 1865 to explore the formation of a permanent bank to help African American Civil War soldiers and the African American community. Having wages for the first time in their lives, newly emancipated men and women needed a safe place to deposit their earnings. On February 13, 1865, a bill to incorporate the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company was brought before Congress. Just 3 weeks later, President Abraham Lincoln signed the bill into law. The bank was crucial to help create opportunity for African Americans to build assets. It created a sense of protection for their money and welcomed them into the financial mainstream. Freedmen's Bank was a symbol of a stronger economic future for emancipated men and women at a key turning point in American history. 37 branch offices in 17 states and the District of Columbia were opened. In 1870, the bank's headquarters moved from New York to Washington, D.C., to the southeast corner of Lafayette Square, across the street from the White House and the Treasury Building. Most bank depositors were primarily low-wage earners, laborers, cooks, janitors, nurses, porters, seamstresses, and soldiers. But African American churches, businesses, schools, and other organizations also put their money in the bank. In addition, depositors included individuals who had been freed long before emancipation, such as physicians from Freedmen's Hospital, now Howard University Hospital, professors at Howard University, attorneys, and notables like Frederick Douglass, Captain O.S.B. Wall, and many others. It is estimated that over the 9-year life of the bank, approximately 100,000 individuals and institutions opened accounts with bank deposits totaling more than $57 million. That is equivalent to $115 billion today, based on its.
All right, let sink in. In 1860, between 1865 when the bank was opened, and before 1875, $57 million was deposited from blacks across America, which is an equivalent, of $115 billion today. Now think of you having not one person, but even the blacks within America. Well, the amount they have in banks today probably it should equal more than that. But I'm saying if they are even able to maintain that amount in an institution as savings, you know about that good amount of money. So back then you can just imagine how much that was. 57 million back then was a whole lot of money, right? That amount of money came from blacks who were slaves. In less than 10 years after them starting to save at that bank, they were able to amass that amount. And then try to destruct. Let me see if they talk about that here.
Relative share of gross domestic product. During its first 5 years, Freedmen's Bank operated as a well-functioning institution. However, an amendment to the bank's charter led to risky asset investments. This, along with the lack of proper oversight, led to fraud, mismanagement, and abuse. In 18
fraud, mismanagement, and abuse by the whites who was managing black money. Interesting.
73, the United States experienced a financial panic, and Freedmen's Bank was not exempt from its impacts. Lack of confidence by the depositors led to runs on a bank that was already weakened. In 1874, Frederick Douglass was recruited to serve as the bank's president. He believed that the failing bank could be saved, and even invested his own money to revive it. But these efforts came too late. Freedmen's Bank closed its doors on the 29th of June, 1874. When it failed, depositors lost their savings. About half eventually received some of their money back. Others received nothing. It was a bitter conclusion to such a...
Here I put it, then I was telling that about half of the depositors received back their money. The thing is, you had some whites who were customers in that bank as well. But guess what? Those whites who were customers there, they were the ones who got the big loans, you know. They were the ones who brought down the bank. Can you believe that? Yeah. They were the ones who brought down the first saving of the emancipated slaves embezzled here. Yeah.
A promising venture. The Freedmen's Bank building was sold and demolished in 1899, and in 1919, A new building that became the Treasury Annex was erected on the site. Despite its unfortunate end, the Freedmen's Bank embodied the hopes for equality and inclusion in America's economic mainstream.
Nothing but them see the economic strength, the monetary strength of the freed slaves then. And some smart ones said, can you imagine if we have 20 years of this? Then take the money put in a white businesses and the bank collapse. Politicians were involved in it.
Its legacy must be our continued quest for inclusive prosperity for every American. On January 7, 2016, Treasury Secretary Jacob J. Lew named the Treasury Annex in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the establishment of the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company. It is now the Freedmen's Bank Building.
All right, there's another one I want to play. Why are we dwelling on these today? We're not dwelling on them. We're just highlighting them. So moving forward as a people, we become aware of how targeted how these institutions target us. I mean, look at this thing we call higher purchase. That's one of and the government allowed this to happen. You take out something on higher purchase, you miss a couple month payment, a couple payments, they come seize the thing that you took out, sell it to recover the amount outstanding. They say the amount you put in it, you don't get back, don't get back anything out of it. And you put money in it too. But anyway, rather than give you time, I say, all right. Because they also have the penalty thing, whereas you have to you would what's the word? You would have to clear the balance. It's not like you run away. The people that move, take the thing and I purchase and then run with. They don't find those people. That's it. Them gone. But the ones who they can't find, they try to seize them, and the government allowed it. And these companies that do it, some foreign entity like courts, local entities like the motor vehicle loan companies, them do that. So our finances have been targeted as a people from ever since slavery abolished. As a matter of fact, the whole slavery was about our finance, our taking our labor for nothing. So ever since we come over the West here, we have been targeted for our wealth. All right, this one now, the rise and betrayal of Freedman Bank. This is where I don't really want to go in that one. There is one with this one. It have about 6 minutes of interview. This is a marketplace.org. How a bank failed 150 years ago still shaped many Black Americans' relationship to financial institution. All right, this one interesting. This is an interesting one. This is bringing to the fore that ever since this bank collapsed with Black people money, Black people Don't trust banks. The Freedman Bank was the first opportunity for formerly enslaved people to save and protect their money. But its failure in less than a decade still haunts Black Americans today. All right. It have an audio to it.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Rizdal. The latest data from the Federal Reserve, it's from 2022, shows that 13% of Black Americans are unbanked. To quote the Fed, that means that neither they nor their spouse or partner had a checking, savings, or money market account. The comparable figure for white Americans, just 3%. And as often happens, the root cause can be found in history. Here, at the end of the Civil War and the rise and the collapse of something called the Freedmen's Savings Bank. Dr. Justine Hill Edwards is an associate professor of history at the University of Virginia, also the author of a forthcoming book about the Freedmen's Bank. Professor Edwards, welcome to the program. Good to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
For those unfamiliar, could you give a 30-ish second précis of the Freedmen's Bank?
Sure. Well, the Freedmen's Bank, also known as the Freedmen Savings and Trust Company, was a savings bank founded in March of 1865, and it was founded by a group of white politicians and philanthropists for the financial benefit of recently freed slaves.
As I was prepping to speak with you, it occurred to me that the phrase well-meaning white philanthropists should probably be appended here. Is that fair?
That is absolutely true. The basic foundations of the Freedmen's Bank were created by white Northerners who, in some ways, really believed that they could economically help the nation's almost 4 million freed African Americans. And so they conceived of the bank as a vehicle to help them make the really dangerous transition from slavery to freedom, but in terms of their finances and economics.
The reason this bank failed matters through, not just the history of that period, but up to today, right?
It does. There was a financial crisis in the fall of 1873, and African Americans started to withdraw their money en masse. Frederick Douglass comes in, he becomes the bank's president in March 1874, and he looks at the bank's finances and realizes that the bank is over leveraged. The finance committee had approved of millions of dollars of bank loans that were not going to be repaid. And interestingly enough, the majority of those loans went to the white partners and businessmen who were affiliated with the bank's trustee.
Hear that? Many of the millions of loans, $1 million worth of loans went to the white bank, the whites who were affiliated with the bank. So, I mean, this is something, this comes like it worse than slavery. But during slavery, you plant the crop and you wait. There was a 1 year cycle, unless you're doing cash crop. But most of the things, there was like a 1 year cycle in working to get the money. But this one now, man, they borrow the bank money and have no intention of paying it back. Which black at that time would be so bold?
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Rizdal. The latest data from the Federal Reserve, it's from 2022, shows that 13%.
That's right. And in many ways, they really didn't understand the financial knowledge that African Americans were bringing with them. The one and only Frederick Douglass, the most photographed man of the 19th century, was the bank's last president.
Okay. All right. So with all of that as context, I want to do a little prologue here. Was the supposition by the people who started this bank that Black Americans had not had not necessarily financial institutions, but financial know-how and financial practices before emancipation?
Yes, that's right. And in many ways, they really didn't understand the financial knowledge that African Americans were bringing with them into freedom. African Americans who were enslaved were cultivating ideas of how to make and save money in the period of slavery. And so they were bringing with them very concrete ideas about saving and what they wanted to do with their money, which was to buy property and buy land.
Well, that's where I wanted to go next, because, you know, one of the many, many, many tragedies of the Black American economic experience is the inability that Black Americans have had to build generational wealth. And in a way, it kind of starts here. You relate this story either in an article I read or parts of your other writings about during the Great Depression, a descendant of one of these people writing to FDR saying, it would be really great if I could get my hands on my grandmother's, you know, deposit right now.
Exactly. And so we see that there is kind of a generational memory of the Freedmen's Bank and its failure. And I think in many ways, too, it's dictated the oftentimes fraught relationship that we've seen between the financial services industry and African Americans in the 20th and 21st centuries.
Well, say more about that, because this was 150 something years ago that this happened. And it, you know, your theory of the case here is that it affects things today.
Yes. I mean, we see, especially in the period after the bank ends, we see African Americans continue not to trust and engage with the financial services industry that becomes so important in building credit to be able to purchase homes, to pass down generational wealth. And so in some ways, it's not surprising that the wealth gap is as staggering as it is today.
As you have done the research for your forthcoming book on this subject, the title of which we'll get to when we say goodbye here, I imagine there were so many instances as you were doing the research where it was a what if moment. What if things had been different? What if they hadn't expanded to white bankers? What if the loans had gone to some of the recently enslaved Black Americans? There must have been so many turning points.
Yeah, you see, and it's the same white people today who tell Black people pull themselves up by their bootstrap, by their own bootstrap. Right? And at the same time, they were the ones who the first embezzlement Blacks together experience coming out of slavery, done by the same whites. The South suck out their labor. This bank was opened by the Northerners, the same abolitionists who helped free the slaves. So now take with their money. I wonder what kind of business they have put it in.
Where today it would have been so different.
Sure. I mean, I have heard just in my own family the idea of saving money not in banks but underneath the mattress. In many ways, I think that these kind of memories of the bank, even though we may not have the language to connect it to behaviors today, it's there, which is why I think that the history of this bank is so important.
So probably that's where the whole idea of save money under the mattress came from, because you know, you put the money in the bank and the bank collapse with your money. So that's why I tell Judah, the Judahites today. It's your money, then you see them foreigners, they see them running out of the country. It's your money thereafter. There is a financial collapse that is looming, what's the proper term? Recession, looming over America for quite a while now. And I believe the only reason why they don't allow it to happen is that, you know, the work of different nations that are involved there. And it being them and Judah like it was back in the 18th something that would let it happen. Because who would lose their money? It's the Judahites. The Black Americans would just lose their money, ball, do what they do, and then they'll bill again. So, but they cannot allow, they don't know what the other nations will do. When you make the country go down with their monies in the bank and riot start, man, might be a riot they don't recover from. But yeah, they want is Judah thereafter.
Justine Hill Edwards is an associate professor of history at the University of Virginia. She's got a book coming out on the subject at hand today. It's called Savings and Trust, the Rise and Betrayal of the Freedmen's Bank.
All right. There's another video. Seeing this one. That was the one I played. Let me see if we can find that other video. This one was on Facebook. This one won't be able to show full screen. But you can listen to it. Okay.
Homes, land, and college. Then one day the bank said, "We don't owe you anything," and set the records on fire. In the 1930s, Delta Freedmen's Bank promised security for black depositors. Families deposited everything: savings, life insurance, pensions. But when the bank faced financial trouble, it conveniently claimed, "We lost the ledgers in a fire." Black support, just silence. Years later, investigators found copies of the ledgers in a basement archive, untouched, proving the fire was a lie. That money would have built wealth for generations. Instead, it was erased and hidden. Follow for more hidden stories of how...
See how wealth is always the target of, because that's the whole purpose of an economy, is wealth and to build wealth. The whole purpose of slavery is to build, to suck from one set of people to build a next set. And this is what we as a people don't understand. But anyway, I want to touch on some scripture. I want to go into Malachi. Like Malachi first. Let me go Deuteronomy first. Deuteronomy 28, 48 to 51. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So this is the Deuteronomy 28. He's telling you about the covenant that we have with the Most High God. If we serve him, this is what we shall prosper. If we don't serve him, we can pay the price. So part of the price that we should pay is that we're going to send our enemy against you. 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. 51. Interesting. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed. And that's what they've been doing with us and our finances. Which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil. Soccer. or the increase of thine kind, or flock, or thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. But then read Deuteronomy 28 and 51. That's exactly what the oppressor has been doing to us. All right, one more scripture. I read another article on Friedman. Well, I think that is enough. Touch on next scripture. Malachi chapter 1. In the book of Malachi, chapter 1. No, Malachi 2. No, Malachi 1, verse 2 to 4. All right, 5. 2 to 5. Malachi 1, 2 to 5. And it reads, verse 2. I have loved you, saith the Lord, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I love Jacob. So in Malachi now the Most High tell us, I have shown nothing but love to you. And you have said, you love me, look on the other nation. And I say, but the Most High say, Esau and Jacob was brother, I know, yet I love Jacob. Verse 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Verse 4. Whereas Edom, that is Esau, saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. And they shall call them, that is Edom, or the white man, the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. Verse 5. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel. All right, we're going to touch Usain Bolt now, and then we'll read some more scriptures. And then we'll call it that evening. Usain Bolt, man. This comes from Sportsmax TV. They say that they did an article and do a little research on the board incident. Probe reveals Usain Bolt missing millions never reach SSL account. Email reach. It's written by Sportsdex, posted in Athletics. 13th of February 2025. So this year, this was it. All right. I want to make sure that my online people can see this. All right, so a high-level probe into the missing US 12 million US dollar investment of Jamaican sprint legend Usain Bolt at Stocks and Securities Limited has revealed that a significant portion of his funds never made it into his account at the brokerage firm. Mercy. According to a report from Nationwide News Network at NNN, international forensic investigators, including UK-based Kroll Associates, have uncovered that Bolt's principal investment was stolen before it ever reaches SSL account. The revelation adds a new layer of complexity. The revelation adds a new layer of complexity to the already grim outlook of Bolt's chances of recovering his money. According to Triple, sources indicate that Bolt's management team was deceived with fake invoices and account updates sent by Jean and Panton, former SSL employee now facing multiple fraud charges. These falsified documents led Bolt's team to believe that his investment had not only been securely placed at SSL, but was also growing in value over time. Who should do that? Who do that? Keep an account of what should be there, but is not really there. So each time they would come and ask, check up with her because she would have been the personal banker. She was able to go into that which should have been in there, show him what it should have generated and all that. Side. So you see these things happen to black people for ever so long. These falsified documents led Bolt to believe that his investment had not only been securely placed at that, but was also growing in value over time. The NNN report said investors have determined that the bulk of the worry sent by Bolt for investment never actually reached an SSL account, Stocks and Securities Limited account. raising serious concerns about the extent of the fraud and the potential for restitution. But, this finding has cast major doubt over whether the Sprint icon will ever see the return of the substantial sum he had been led to believe was accumulating. Meanwhile, the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions, ODPP, is still awaiting further documentation from the Financial Investment Division before making determinations on whether additional individuals from SSL will face criminal charges. Yeah, it could keep 10 million euros to itself. Documents are expected to provide key evidence in assessing whether there is enough proof to prosecute other individuals connected to the massive fraud. Jean Ann Panton has already been charged and is before the court, having allegedly confessed to orchestrating fraudulent activities involving multiple client accounts over several years. In the wake of this scandal, Bolt revealed that he had dismissed a member of his management team who was responsible for overseeing his investment at SSL. I mean, 10 million US. Look for that's over $1 billion Jamaican dollar. 10 million times roughly $150. And that is putting it at a reserve exchange rate. Speaking on the popular podcast, The Fix, earlier this week, Bolt expressed his growing frustration with the sluggish pace of the investigation into his missing funds. He firmly, when them carry out them foreign investigators come out here, I remember say vacation they come on to work and vacation and there. You say them come out there for work, but then I enjoy them. Normally you have to put them at the hotel. Then I enjoy the Jamaican food, sunshine, and go to the beach. Yeah, I'm probably enjoying our verbs. So they will be moving at a sluggish pace. He firmly believes that the Jamaican government can and should do more to facilitate the return of his investment, emphasizing that it holds the key to a resolution. Yeah, because I mean the Bank of Jamaica should have been supervising these investments, these institutions. Yeah, they give them a free ride. They should have periodical investigate. Periodical what? Yeah, that's it. Supervision, investigation. What? In other words, they're supposed to check their records ever so often, and they weren't doing it. With these latest revelations, Bolt's battle to reclaim his fortune remains uncertain as investigators continue to piece together the extent of the fraud and potential avenues for justice. All right, so this is Bolt's story now. So, I mean, and this is just two things we touch on when it comes to black wealth. You know what's the interesting thing about what we're doing on this show here? Is there things that have happened after slavery we have been talking about here. So for all those who love telling black people to forget about slavery, you follow this program and you see all the atrocities that has met us because we trust the white man. In other words, they are the ones in charge of the whole government. We try to get involved in things. There's pushback, there's whatever. But they are the hell. They are the ones who are being racist against you. They are the ones who telling you about pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. When they try that, they are the ones that are in the way stealing your wealth. We're going to touch another scripture, going back into Malachi. This time we're going to Malachi 3, reading from 4 to 12. So what this is showing in Malachi here is that restitution is going to come from the Most High. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahweh, as in the days of old and as of former year, as in former year. 5. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. So these are the things that keep you down. Sorcerers, yeah, mobile workers, the adulterers, yeah, adulterers. You women, you know, are adulterers, you know. Yeah, a man see a woman, you know. Yeah, no man. That's a man, no man. There you go. If you do that, you might get her pregnant. You yourself might have a woman, you know. You go to the scripture, give you the right to have more than one wife. But that's not the norm. That is not what the woman or women out there in the world accept. So let us look at it as how they accept it. The man might have a woman and don't tell them. But the man can't give them a jacket to them. Yeah. But you can give the man a jacket. And you can cause me to give your man a jacket. What we call jacket is, what they call it in America? Paternity fraud. Yeah. And the court, and according to the results, you are not father. Yeah, that's what we call jacket in Jamaica. Verse 6, for I am Yahweh, I change not. So when you read the scripture, you see how tough Yahweh was. Why when Christians come and read New Testament, the minister got changed? And God start accepting sins. And God start telling, oh, rice killing eat Peter. There was a time when I tell you not to eat pork. Well, you can eat it now. Oh, really? The Most High said, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. It's just the mercies we have why not consume all of the land. Verse 7, even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from my ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you. So that's why in the scriptures, in entering the truth here, we keep telling you, you have to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. The Most High said, return unto me, and I will return unto you. But He said, wherein shall we return? Verse 8, will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offering. Ye are cursed with a curse. Let me say, bold. I want to show your tithes and offering. Church, I don't have a church, give it to the truth. ISUPK.com, 10% of your earnings. You pay it, and we are fighting the cause of our people. We're not fighting for out of many one people. Out of many one people is what stole your money. We fight for the cause of our people. Ever since we believe that we can build a nation with them other races. All of them know that you cannot build a nation. You have to build your family, your race. All of them know that, except we. Even the white man. Why do you think Trump gets so, we call it racist? Looking out for him own. Wherein have we robbed thee? Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, said Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven. And said, bring in the tithes and offering, and said, open the windows of heaven. Which is what you all believe, so when we say, pay your tithes, we're telling you to do it because we want your money. We use the money to, you ever see when we have our programs where we're feeding people and and all them things. That's what we do. And keep the schools open. We have to pay rent, pay light, pay water, you have to do this, you have to do that. It takes money. So I'm saying, prove him. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. 11, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. So all them want thief your money out of the bank and thief your money, Mr. Bolt, and those who have stolen Judah's money in the past in America, and those who are planning to do it because there is a recession looming and it's going to happen. And those who have stolen people money through the banks in Jamaica too. Moses said he will rebuke the devourer. They are the ones that are devouring us. And he said, for your sake I will run them. And he shall not destroy the fruit of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says the Lord of hosts. Meaning, you ever see when when they say you fruit them fuba or them what's that already premature or so you can't get them and them spoil. He said that now what verse 12, and all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Well, some people when it comes to it's wherever we live that it's talking to now, because the most not only when you was back that land, but he might give us the entire earth. So no matter things they will give that land, and then other nations can stay anywhere in the world and come attack it. God will give the entire earth. Since as they can't be fair with you in giving you everything. Remember that every nation their part in it. But they are not fair with you because they have their part, but they want to take yours. Okay. Since that's the way you want it, I'm going to give everything to them. And that's what he will be doing. All right, so on this topic of stolen black wealth. What I scriptural about these nations do these things. And then the other things that them do it and say, you did not keep the most size law for example. No. And see it as a way that they can then sit down and them take away money. You know. Every little opportunity they get to take away your things, they do it. And it's pretty soon our people understand that. They better know that. Alright? So on that note now, we're telling our people that, you know, you make this stance, you take a stance, come into the truth, and all these things we just take time shed out for you. All these what do we call it now? Devouring of your wealth. As a matter of fact, your very humanity them gets stupid. I mean, look how Donald Trump treating the so-called illegal immigrant. It's an inhumane treatment. It's stripping them of their humanity. That's the whole purpose. All right. So we're going to tell you again, you know, 8 times. Like, subscribe, and share our videos so that we can go out more and reach more of our people and get more people awakened. All right. So until then, you know, this is a conflict zone, another episode in the conflict zone. Shalom.
Yeah. I want this. We taking over. Ha. Yo, Nayata.
Yo, Gucci.
Strap to the bone, chat to me chrome. Fire one in a them, chat to the dome. Them boy, they know bad rifle a roll under me clothes. One with a run road that a fi be known. Brown in bad bitch, not silicone. Rich badness, fat belly full. Them boy, they not ready for the gun life. Give them a pitchfork and a rum knife. Press the chip clock on the front line. If the road dark, he become bright. Me dog them a killer when a sunlight. We was a transform when it turn night. Chris Kalish cuff we black and white with the red light on the front side. Toppy show, tap tap. Things where you know nothing. Cause I live in bed from the inception of the thing and start how the thing gets strong. I want Western in the but take long know how we are do the road map injection. Toppy show. Oh,